As a computer doesn't know what is the value of pi or it doesn't know what is character pi, we have to supply or we have to provide the value for this pi in our statement. If I say design the solution, what type of methods are necessary and what type of rules we have to follow. So all these comes under design of a solution. Once we have defined we design the solution to a problem, next step is we have to convert those algorithms into a programming language. Dear students, welcome to Computer Science classes. I am Ravi Kumar KR, lecturer in Computer Science, Vidhyaashram PU College, Temple of Excellence, Mysore. Students, let us start our session with the chapter 4, Introduction to Problem Solving. Now in the next slide, we will see the weightage of the chapter. The weightage of the chapter is 15 marks. Here, 1 mark questions, 2 MCQ, 1 2 marks question, and 2 3 marks question, and 1 5 marks question. So, total weightage of the chapter is 15 marks. In this chapter, we are going to discuss about the introduction to problem solving. Under that, steps involved in problem solving like algorithm, flowchart, errors, and programming construct and programming techniques and different types of programming methods. All these we are going to discuss in this chapter. Now let us start with this introduction. Here, introduction to problem solving. So first of all, we know what is problem solving. So this chapter deals with the steps involving solving a problem over computers. Suppose if you want to make use of computer to solve our problem, so the following steps are, we are going to discuss different steps or we have to follow different steps to the problems to be solved. So in this chapter, we are going to discuss different methods to solve a problem over computer. Now let us see, the first one is manual processing. So this is manual data processing or to solve a problem manually. So what is the meaning of that? Here, before the era of computers, before we use computers in our day-to-day life, and all different types of work are to be carried out by human beings, that is manual data processing. Once as there is a improvement in the field of science and technology or in the computer era, so when we start using computer in our day-to-day life, so now we have started using computer to solve our problem. So this is the chapter deals with the problem solving methodology in computers. Now let us see what is it. So here, second one is computerized process. So the meaning is the problem solving process starts with problem specification, ends with correct program. So here, if you want to solve a problem over computers or any type of problem or any different types of tasks, whatever it is. So here, the problem solving process starts with problem specification. We are going to discuss in detail in our next slide. So here, specification and ends with a correct program. So here, as all of you know that, so here, if you want to make use of computer to solve any problem, we have to write a program. So in order to write a program, we have to follow certain syntax and rules of the particular language. And all these we are going to discuss in the chapter problem solving methodology. So here, earlier, when we were not seeing the computer or when we are not using computers, so all the work has to be carried out by human beings, that is manual processing or manual data processing. Now, when we start using computers, so it is computerized process or problem solving through computers. It involves many methods or techniques and different levels of programming. Now let us see the steps involving in problem solving over computer. So here, the first one is problem definition. This is the step number 1. So what is the meaning of problem definition? The problem definition is nothing but to define the problem. Next one is problem analysis. Next, algorithm development, then coding, then program testing and debugging, and documentation. These are the steps to be followed to solve a problem over computer. Now let us see the definition of all these things one by one. First one is problem definition. So what is problem definition? This is to define the problem. And in practice, to solve any complex problem in real life, we have to define the problem, or another word is we have to understand the problem. So in general, if you want to solve any type of problem, first of all, the user or the programmer should know what the program is or what the problem is. And being a computer is a machine, so here the user or the programmer has to give the proper instruction to solve a particular problem. In that way, the programmer or the user must understand the problem very well. Suppose if the user or the programmer cannot understand the problem it's himself, so it is very difficult for them to solve the particular problem. So what is the problem definition? The first step is we have to define the problem. In other words, we should know or we have to understand the problem very well to solve it over computer. The first step is problem definition. Next one is problem analysis. So analyzing the problem or analysis involves the following steps. One is inputs, that is data you have to work with. And second one is output, the desired result, and any additional requirements or constraints on the solution. So here, what is problem analysis? Once if we understood the problem, next one is we have to think of problem. For example, here what type of input it takes. For example, with respect to programming concept, whether should we have to enter the data in the form of numbers or pictures or characters or decimal numbers, those are comes in the analysis of the problem, so that we should be knowing what type of data we have to enter in computer. So once the data, if we know that, then we should also know what would be the output or what result we expect from the computer. This is another step. Here we should know what is the result, what would be the output of this problem. Next one is any additional requirement or constraint required for this solution. So for example, here apart from these two, we should know, is it necessary to provide any other details, for example constants to the particular formula, to the particular statement. So this is nothing but problem analysis. What is problem analysis? Here nothing but the user must think of inputs, means what type of data to feed into the computer, and he should also know what are the output or the result required from this particular problem, and again any additional information. For example, if I want to find out area of a circle, that is A equals pi r squared. So in this example, suppose if I want to find out area of circle, so first of all, what data we have to feed into the computer? Here we have to enter the value of radius. So here this is first step. And here what type of data? Whether should be radius, either it is integer or decimal number. Integer or decimal number. So this is the step number one. And what we expect from this formula, at last we get the solution as area. So this is area of circle, that is the output. And again, additional information. In this example, there is a constant pi. And we know what is the value of pi, that is 3.1416 or 22/7. So as a computer doesn't know what is the value of pi, or it doesn't know what is character pi, we have to supply or we have to provide the value for this pi in our statement. So this is nothing but the problem analysis. To find area of circle, the radius we have to input, either is integer or decimal, and what would be the output of this program, and any other additional requirement. In this example, this value of constant, we have to enter value to the computer. So this is nothing but problem analysis. Now let us see the next step involved is designing of a solution. Design of a solution. So what is this design is nothing but, you take simple example. Suppose whenever if you want to construct a house or whenever you want to build a house, what is the first step is we'll go for architect for different design, isn't it? So the architect, they will design our home as per our requirement. So actually based on that, we are going to construct a house or a building based on the design of the architect or what we are expecting or what we have asked for. So similarly, so all the construction work or building is based on the architect design, that is the design of a solution. So similarly, in this example, suppose if I want to solve a problem over computer, first of all we have to design the solution. If I say design the solution, what type of methods are necessary and what type of rules we have to follow. So all these comes under design of a solution. To solve any problem, we have to plan it. Planning is nothing but designing of a solution. So because as all of you know that computer is a dumb machine, it cannot understand anything. So everything it depends on the user. So user must provide these type of solutions. This is one of the solution is design of solution. Here we are following, there are two tools that is called, one is algorithm and flowchart. So these are the two tools for designing our solution. So what is algorithm? Algorithm is step-by-step finite sequence of instructions to solve a well-defined problem, and it is textual representation. So what is algorithm? So here, suppose if we want to solve any problem over computer, first we have to plan it. What is the planning here? So here we are writing the steps one by one. So what is the step number 1? What is step number 2? What is step number 3? And so on. That is nothing but planning our solution. Same thing is nothing but your algorithm. Algorithm is nothing but a step-by-step finite sequence of instruction. So for any problem, there is a finite. If I say finite in the sense, it has to be end at particular stage. So it is a finite step and it is in textual representation. So here we are writing on the paper. For example, the user or the programmer, he has to write the solution on the paper as per his convenience. That is nothing but algorithm. So algorithm is a step-by-step procedure to solve a problem, and it is in textual representation or textual in nature. So the user or the programmer, he will sketch some steps. That is nothing but algorithm, and here we are using general English language. So this is algorithm. Another tool is flowchart. What is a flowchart? Flowchart is nothing but it is a diagrammatic representation. Just now we have seen in the previous slide algorithm. Algorithm is a textual representation, and here it is a diagrammatic representation. And here we are using different geometrical shapes like circle, oval, rectangle, etc. to draw a flowchart. So flowchart is a diagrammatic representation of solution to a problem, but it is in the form of diagrammatic or in the form of diagrams by using different geometrical shape. It is also a step-by-step procedure. So algorithm and flowchart are two different tools to design a solution to a problem. Now let us see the next slide. Next one is coding or programming. Coding or programming. Once we have defined we have designed the solution to a problem, next step is we have to convert those algorithms into a programming language. As all of you know that at this stage, a computer can understand only a computer language. So whatever the algorithm or flowchart we have written, those are the steps. We will have to convert those steps into programming language or through any of the programming language to complete programming or coding. So what is a programming or a coding? It is nothing but the instructions are written by using any of the computer language or any of the high level language. So here already we have designed the solution to a problem through algorithm and flowchart. Those two algorithm, the steps involved, all these instructions has to be converted into a coding or a programming through a programming language. That is nothing but coding or programming. Next one is testing or debugging. Testing or debugging. So once the program is written by using any of the high-level language in computer language, so we are not sure of the program, whether the program is right or wrong, or how many mistakes are there, how can we improve the program, how can we correct it. All these comes into picture once the program is done or the coding is completed. So for that, we have to debug the program. So what is debugging? Debugging is nothing but the process of finding and correcting the program code mistakes is called error. So in other way, what is debugging? Debugging is nothing but correcting the errors in our program. Or first of all, we have to find out the errors, where are the errors are there in our program, and those errors has to be converted or it has to be rectified. That is nothing but debugging. Once the debugging is completed, next step is this is testing. Once the program is written, we have checked for debugging. Now, if our program is with zero errors, or if there are no errors in our computer program, next step is testing. So here, testing means running the program or nothing but executing its instructions with all possible values. So now we have written the program already. Once if there are no errors, we have to check our program or test the program for proper result. So why we have to test the program? Because we were expecting a desired result. So with this program, are we getting a desired result or a proper result from this program with different possible values? That is nothing but testing our program or executing our program. After this, next step is documentation and maintenance. What is documentation? It is a reference material. It is a reference material which explains the use and maintenance of the program or applications for which has been written. So what is documentation? Can give an example here. Students, whenever you go for any of the home appliances, you take for example washing machine. Students, if you buy any of the home appliances from any of the showroom, then the particular box or inside that you find a material in the form of a pamphlet or in the form of a sheet or a manual. So those are nothing but documentation. So actually, if you look at for example, washing machine, if you open the manual of the washing machine, it says how to use the particular product and product specification as well as how to use it effectively. So those are nothing but documentation for any home appliances. Similarly, in the same way, documentation is also required for programming. I mean, the program what you have written for a particular program, those has to be documented. I mean, here if a documentation, it is nothing but how to use a program, or it is just like a manual how to work with the particular program, or what are the hardware requirement, what are the software requirement. Everything is mentioned in particular material. That is nothing but documentation. And here there are two types of documentation. One is internal and external documentation. Now let us see what is internal documentation. It is known as technical documentation, and it means for the programmer who may program instructions for later stage. So here there are two types of documentation. One is internal as well as external. Internal documentation, it is meant for programmer. I mean, the programmer or one who writes the program for a particular application or a software, he will make a note of it on somewhere else on the paper, the steps involved in the problem or whatever the methods he followed to write a particular problem or write a particular program. So he will make a note of it on piece of paper or for his reference. That is nothing but it is a material for the programmer. By looking at his documentation, he can make changes to a particular application, or he can update the program as and when the user asks for it. That is internal documentation for programmer, his documentation. Next one is external documentation. this external documentation is specifically or particularly for users or one who use a particular software or particular application or particular program. So here it includes user manual, administrator manual, as well as developers manual. Here I just have given an example of washing machine. Whenever you get any of the washing machine, if you open that box, you find a small manual that is an example for external documentation. So what it consists of: specification about the product and how to use the product effectively. So these are nothing but documentation. Next one is maintenance. So here we have to maintenance. Generally, this is nothing but with respect to programs. So here, these programs that are developed become outdated with the time. So sometimes errors may creep in. Outdated. So what is the meaning of this? Say, suppose any software or any application has been developed today, maybe after 3 months, after 6 months, after 1 year, it will be outdated. Outdated in the meaning that we cannot make use of that because of different technical specification. So very frequently these program has to be updated, means we have to keep changing it. That is the meaning of program maintenance. Now, depending on the changing rules and users requirements, program needs to be modified. Suppose any of the user asks for any changes in particular program, maybe after 6 months, after 1 year, programmer or the developer must be in a position to modify the program as per the user's requirement. So that is also maintenance. And program maintenance means periodic review of the program and modification based on user requirement. So maintenance in another way, it is nothing but it is periodic review, means very often we have to keep looking at the program, and any changes to be done, it has to be done as per the user requirement. That is maintenance. And to improve the clarity, fresh documentation may be needed. So suppose if at all, if it is outdated, if the program or application which has been developed is outdated, then we have to rethink of the documentation, or we may have to draft it again. And maintenance is a continuous task. So maintenance is a continuous task. Say we have to maintain this program very often, continuously. So this is nothing but maintenance. So in general, maintenance is nothing but we have to keep on observing, or we have to keep on review our program very often, and any modifications, corrections to be done, it has to be done, or it has to be updated depending on the user's option or user's choice. So this is maintenance. Students, in this session, we have discussed about how to solve a problem over computer or problem solving methodology. It includes so many steps like problem definition, problem analysis, coding, designing, testing, debugging, and maintenance. So let us continue our discussion in my next session. Thank you so much.